All right, what's up, everybody? I apologize for any of you that watched the first truck video we put up yesterday that lacked the volume. Believe I resolved that, so we're just going to get to this. It's the Xfinity race here at Pocono, Tricky Triangle. So as that entails, it's 3 turns on this track, makes it a little different. We're super long straightaways, makes kind of unique track, 2.5 miles, relatively flat. Every corner has some different banking, different angles. Makes it a pretty fun, interesting race. It's only 90 laps, so it's a little bit shorter. But that being said, we still have 22.5 points from laps led, 40.5 from fast laps. So there's still some dominator points to be had. But yeah, so the Xfinity cars, unlike the trucks, were able to practice and qualify. So we got some data to go off of, as long as some previous track history. So we'll just get into this, keep this one relatively short and sweet, so we can so I can watch that truck race. And so here at the top, we have, Gibbs, Allgaier starting 1-2 on the front row there. Gibbs looks like a major contender today, as he seems to always be. He had really, really good speed in practice. I think he was second in overall speed and first in long run speed. And then obviously laid down a heater of a qualifying lap. Now he starts second on the front row, so it obviously gives him that opportunity to be that early lap leader we like to jump on. Right next to him on the pole is Justin Allgaier, who somehow made Gibbs' heater look slow, beat him by, I believe, a little over 1/10 of a second. So the JRM and the JGR cars definitely look like cars to beat this week. Allgaier has a really good driver rating here. His practice times weren't quite as good as Gibbs and Jones, but he's still top 5. So I'd just consider Allgaier just a little bit more GPP. Would be a big pivot off of Gibbs if you want to go that route. If you're playing multiple lines, I think playing Allgaier instead of Gibbs and some multi lines or just your more GPP lines could be a very good way to differentiate yourself. I see Gibbs coming in pretty high owned today. In terms of Gregson, not really anything special there. He's not bad. His practice times were all right. It's just hard to go with him over some of those guys around him. So if you want something super GPP, having some Gregson in there might not be bad. I think he'll probably come in pretty low owned today, get a little overlooked. And then we got Cole Custer here in the 07 again. Obviously, we've seen him do some pretty cool things in that car when he jumps in it this year. Offers you significantly more point differential than any of these guys in the 9 and 10K range, and really even into this 8K range. So if you want PD out of this upper range, he's definitely your guy. I'd imagine he's going to be around top 5 car. Moving on down to this 9K range, there's really nothing I love about this range. There's not anyone really stands out. I don't think anyone's a bad play per se. Just nothing really jumps out at me. You got Dinger, who kind of ruined that JRM JGR party, qualifying 4th there. Again, I'm going to put him in a little bit more of that GPP play, a little more contrarian, but he does come in at a pretty steep discount to Gibbs and Allgaier. And then it's really, I'll mention Ricky here. He hasn't run the Xfinity for, I think, right around 6 years. And he put down some pretty good practice times and obviously qualified top 10. So you'd expect him, as he becomes more comfortable with his car again, to improve a little bit. So, you could see him maybe moving up a little bit there, but, you're paying that higher salary for that Cup driver, as we always see when those Cup drivers jump into the lower series. So you're paying up for a guy just because he's in the Cup series, and I don't really know how much more he has to offer us there. So he's somebody, maybe have some exposure on, but I definitely would probably limit that. I just don't see him being a major factor when you got some of these guys that are just having unbelievable seasons. So we'll move on down. And I think this range is really interesting because you have Brandon Jones in here, who's starting 3rd. He had really good qualifying time too. It just got bested by Gibbs and Allgaier there. So he's not on the front row, but he's still in that, top 2 rows. So he has that potential to still be that early lap leader. And he had the fastest time in practice and second in long run speed only to Gibbs. So those two are pretty much neck and neck. And he comes in and was 2K cheaper. So, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I'm imagining he's going to be chalky because of that. And then they're right under Jones there. You got Riley Herbst, who's been having a pretty damn good season. I really like this play this week. He offers you more PD, which you haven't really seen in all the drivers above him, starting 14th. And he's the third fastest in practice, and that's both single lap speed and long run speed. So, hopefully he flies under the radar a little bit with everyone jumping on Jones right there. You might be able to get him at a little bit of discount, offers that PD, and I don't really see any reason why it shouldn't be a probably top 5 car today. And, Pocono is a track that's historic or notorious for having some weird strategy calls and, some kind of guys you wouldn't expect to win tend to win here from time to time. So that's someone to keep an eye on. I'll definitely have him in my lineup. And then I'll mention Sammy Smith here because he's running that other JGR car. It's the cheapest out of them. Qualified 5th, pretty fast. I mean, decent in qualifying, but it's just hard to see him doing anything much more than what he's already starting. When you got all these other guys up there, just, been dominant. It's just hard to see him moving up. But, this again, it's kind of that contrarian pivot. If you're looking to be a little bit different, might be someone to give you a look and get those JGR cars a little bit cheaper. So we'll move on down here to 7K range. There's a couple guys in here that I like. Nothing really jumps out in. I know we got some highs in here, but I'll just deal with my 2 favorite probably out of this range. It's going to be Brandon Brown and Brett Moffitt. Brown offers you way more PD than we've seen so far, and anybody above him. I see him kind of finishing right around that top 20, which, isn't necessarily a ton of PD, but it's way more PD than we've seen everybody else. Comes in, pretty cheap, and it just allows you to get some of those guys above if you're trying to get, maybe Gibbs, Jones, and Herbst, something like that. You're gonna have to jump down in this range a little bit. And Moffitt, I think he was right around top 15 in practice speed, if I recall. I can't quite remember, but I know he has a pretty damn good driver rating here, higher than a lot of the other guys. So you definitely expect him to move up, at that discount, and maybe you can sneak into like top 12 or something there for you. So as we move on down here, is really we're just going to get into that range where you're trying to jam those studs in, this kind of punt value range here. And we have a couple guys here that, we're kind of looking at a little bit more that offer us that PD. And that's really all we're going here for. So like someone like JJ Yaley here, obviously he's been around a while, starts 38. So he's a DFL, so he cannot hurt you. Even if he finishes last, he's still going to get you a couple points, which is, something we're looking at when we're looking at this lower end range in these lower series where, likelihood of mechanical issues or just getting caught up in stuff that they can't control is a little bit higher. That safety net built in is something we really, really like. So he's one we're looking at there. And then, kind of Mike Snyder, Levy, Weatherman here. They're all kind of pretty similar plays. They all offered us a little bit something in practice, nothing crazy. We expect them to move up. So it's kind of just, kind of pick your poison here, mix your exposure around, whoever fits a little bit better. If you're trying to get up, maybe you have to drop a little bit farther in this range. If you got a little bit of cash, you can go a little bit higher, maybe try to grab some better equipment. I'd just mix it up a little bit. Don't go too heavy on any one of these guys, because we've all seen that it's like sometimes one of these guys is, better than everybody else. And, someone who we expect to be really good and might be really high owned comes in and just kind of craps the bed and screws everybody. And then as we're moving down, I really don't want to go to this 5K range if I don't have to. But, someone like Carruth and Timmy Hill here, they start pretty far back. Same thing with David Starr. They're kind of more attrition plays. Timmy's on the last row, so similar to JJ, can't really hurt you. But you're just hoping these guys finish the race, move up a few spots, for 5K or less. You don't really need them to do all that much, but you need them to finish the race. So same thing, makes your exposure. And then I guess one more person I'll touch on real quick will just be Anthony Alfredo jumping up here to the 7K range again. Based off his practice times and everything, we kind of expect him to finish around where he starts, which might not merit a medium, but we still have him as medium here just because we've seen this team do some crazy strategy calls before. And, Pocono is just one of those tracks that tends to lead to the crazy strategy working every once in a while. So, if you're running about like, 20 max or something, having a little bit of Anthony Alfredo is probably not the worst thing in the world, just because, you don't know what's going to happen. His team might do that crazy strategy call, and for some reason it pays off and he ends up with the top 5 or top 10 or something where he's going to kill it at that price range. That's all I got for you guys. We'll get this posted over on our Twitter. If you have any questions, you can drop them in comments below here. Shoot us a message over at Twitter at FastCarsFM. As always, like and subscribe. We're on the road to 600. We really appreciate all the support you guys are giving us. And yeah, good luck, everybody.